reposition you. I need you to trust me. One last time.
I gotta say, this is definitely a satisfying conclusion to a 30-year run of a series. I mean, 30 years is diabolical for a series to run. And the fact that Mission Impossible really stood the test of time, more so than a lot of things, more so than any franchise that Netflix has ever started or canceled. And it's all because of Tom Cruise and the creators behind him, because Tom Cruise is crazy. And he's no less crazy in this movie. He just keeps doing crazy shit, and I'm worried about him. You need to stop, bro. As your therapist, I'm not really your therapist, but if I was, you wouldn't be hanging off of planes, and you wouldn't be underwater, bro. Come on, dude. What are you doing? Shit. The final reckoning is upon us. It's good. It's really good, and it definitely earns that title, sort of. This thing is intense. Okay, there's a lot of tension in this film, and there's no time for it to slow down. There's no time for us to really crack jokes, even though this movie is full of humor, both subtle and direct. It kind of leads into that a lot more, and I'm not mad at that. I actually like that. They're trying to strike a good balance so it's not all seriousness. It's actually pretty emotional. It's actually really sad. I don't think I've ever seen Tom Cruise cry on screen, before. And when he cried, I wanted to cry because they were having a moment, okay? When I say this movie is sad, like, we lose a pretty strong character, and I was just hurt by that. I didn't expect it so early, which made it like a major gut punch, because who anticipated that? Way back when I made the reaction to the trailer, I was like, I think someone is gonna die. Someone important is gonna die. And what do you know? I just couldn't believe it, dude. I was so sad, bro. I was like, Gabriel, you son of a bitch! Damn! Weak ass villain. I'm gonna get to that too. All the jokes aside, I think The Final Reckoning is a great movie, but it could be better. So this thing is intense right off the bat, as I said already, I think. There's so much going on. The entity is out there. It's corrupted the global cyberspace network, so it has complete and total control of the news, the media, everything. And it's out there manipulating the masses to turn them on each other, to cause global panic, incite violence, and actually get people to join its cause. There are people who believe in the entity. They are willing to do whatever the entity wants because, again, they believe in what the entity is sharing with them. Difference of opinions, these difference of perceptions, they're clashing and they're causing panic all around the world. There is no time. So they only have 3 days until the entity takes over the entire world and the entire nuclear arsenal. So there is absolutely no time. There's no time to chill. We got to get this shit done. And Ethan Hunt, there is so much pressure for you to deliver. You cannot fail, and you should choose to accept this mission because the world hangs in the balance. So this ain't no regular IMF mission. It's not. This is not a walk in the park. This is not disable that bomb and keep it pushing. No, we're not talking about saving a city. We're talking about saving the whole world. And the stakes have never been higher. This is by far his most impossible mission yet. And he does some impossible shit. Shit that should not even be possible. Hence the name, Mission Impossible. It don't make sense. It's impossible, but he does it. Mission Impossible. Gabriel is back in the mix, and he's still on some, you will go here, do this, do that. It is written. You will do it. And Ethan Hunt actually does everything he says. But before that, Ethan Hunt speaks with the entity, which I thought was a good choice because this thing is faceless. It doesn't have a physical appearance at all. It's nothing. It's just an AI out there. It's just code. So the fact that the entity and Ethan had a scene together, the fact that the entity spoke, I thought that was such a good thing to do. I thought that was super smart because, again, we can't really interact with this thing. The one person that gave the entity all of his personality, most of it, was Gabriel, and that was in Dead Reckoning. In Dead Reckoning, Gabriel was very compelling, and he spoke for the entity. He was representing a power unimaginable to mankind. So, Gabriel is back in the fray, but him and the entity, they're not really in cahoots no more. So after Ethan Hunt speaks with the entity, he goes off on his mission and he does what he does. Boom. Otherwise, the fate of the world is already decided. If he fails this mission, everything is fucked. Everything is cooked. Seriously, nuclear fallout, the world is doomed to human extinction. And that's the ultimatum of the entity. Submit to me or face global total annihilation. That's a compelling story. That is a compelling story. I love that. The action in this movie is amazing. I cannot say that enough. Who is surprised? No one. Tom Cruise manages to still outdo himself every single time. It just doesn't make any sense, man. Like, you're 62. How the hell are you doing this? However old you are. The action is madness. Okay, let's just talk about that for a minute. It's up there though. It takes a while for us to get there, but when we get there, we're there. You know we're there, and you know we finna eat. That submarine scene, bro. Whoa. First of all, let's talk about the music for a second. The music. Whoever scored this, the music for that sequence alone, Oscar worthy. Oscar, hand it to them, please. That music set the stage for that scene so perfectly well. It was so eerie. I really felt like I was at the bottom of the ocean with this man. I felt like I was descending with him to find this thing. And the reason he's down there is because he has to find the Sevastopol, the long destroyed, sunken submarine that was teased in Dead Reckoning Part 1, and it houses the entity's original source code. So that's the only way they're gonna beat this thing. He has to do everything the entity says. Find the sub, bring Gabriel the source code, or face total annihilation. That's the end of your world, that's the end of everything, boom. So he goes down there, he finds the Sevastopol in one of the most chilling, eerie, nail-biting, heart-pumping scenes of all time. That submarine scene, bro. That in IMAX, you can't. There's nothing else for you to see in IMAX but that. That shit was on a whole new level. It was so beautiful, and you just know once he gets inside, you just know that shit's probably gonna go wrong. And there's even a little dose of horror in there. There's like a tiny micro jump scare in there, and that shit got me. That shit got me. I can't even act like it didn't. It got me. I can't cap. It got me. Best scene in the whole movie, period. And then the next one was when he was on the plane. The plane, bro. Like, oh my God, how? Bro is none of that is fake. I just want y'all to know that. None of that is fake. I don't know how many times he did that. How many times how do you approve something like this? How do you approve something like that? How do you just say, absolutely, Tom Cruise, whatever you want, Tom Cruise, absolutely. A studio is bigger than Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is just one man who's super rich, I get that, and powerful, I get that, and an action star, I get that. But how do you approve that? My goodness, that shit is dangerous. But that being said, that plane scene with the two planes, bro, when he's on the oh my God, bro, how do you write that? You don't, you just follow Tom Cruise. That shit was so epic. My God, that was epic. Jesus. Another one that just kind of gives you anxiety. He's just hanging off the plane. He's just hanging off. It's just, you're like, damn, is he gonna fall? Is he gonna fall? Is he gonna fall? You need to stop. You need to stop. But all that shit aside, that was a phenomenal sequence, and it was just one of the best moments in the movie. Again, one of the two best moments in the entire movie were those two big action scenes. Before he even gets down to the submarine, he has to survive getting almost nearly killed by another submarine. It's insane. That sequence was so different, man. It was just, oh, I can't wait to, I want to see it again. I want to see it again so bad. Yeah. But the planes, like, I don't know what's better. I'm kind of having a hard time. But you know what? I think the submarine sequence was better, but they're both equally good, but I prefer the submarine sequence. Truly, I do. Again, once the action gets going, it gets going. But my problem with this movie is like the first hour. Something about it feels kind of off. Something about it feels missing. Something about it feels like, why did they go this route? We know this is the culmination of every Mission Impossible. We know that they have to tie things up from, each of the movies as long as it's relevant. This movie begins with 1 whole hour and change of showing a bunch of different moments, the best moments from each Mission Impossible movie in the series. It's basically a highlighted reel of Ethan Hunt's best moments throughout the series, throughout this 30-year run. And to me, that was kind of annoying. It didn't bother me too much, but I'm just kind of like, did they need to do it this way? Let's make it obvious that we're tying it up. There are like maybe 1 or 2 exceptions regarding the flashbacks, regarding those quick flashes. However, there's just so much of it, and I'm just like, dude, this feels like something else was supposed to be here, but instead they were like, fuck it. Let's go with the original idea since we don't have time, probably don't got no money either. Let's just go with this and hopefully it doesn't piss people off too much, but we are tying it together so it does make sense. Like, for example, the rabbit's foot, because the rabbit's foot we thought was a biological weapon. Ethan probably thought it was a biological weapon too, but what it really was, the entity's original source code. Now, that could be a retcon, because now how do you tie that back to the Sevestable? I'm not so sure. I think they did, but maybe that detail went over my head because I'm trying to figure out how that makes sense. But that was the entity's original source code. And he didn't know what he was stealing because he stole it to save his wife. Right? You see what you do for love, man? You see what you created. You're the reason the entity is a thing. You're the reason the entity is a thing. You fathered the entity. And that's why it's so afraid of him, because it knows that he is... I don't know if it knows that he's the reason. Maybe it does. Maybe I missed some shit, just didn't pay attention. Either way, all them flashbacks, they're doing too much. I just didn't appreciate it too much. But again, it doesn't bother me too much. Just thinking about it right now, I'm like, they could have done something a little bit different to tie this all together, but also make this movie stand on its own. Because right now, this movie stands on the freaking crutches of all the old ones. Again, the flashbacks just make it real so on the nose. And honestly, because of that, it doesn't feel like much of a finale, even though it has finale written all over it. It doesn't feel like a finale. This feels like the prelude to a finale. Whereas we might get these tie-ins before the official finale comes out, and then we get a explosive, sort of ending. The ending was pretty explosive. It was really good. But my thing is, like, we could have started out explosive, like, boom. We could have started out that way, but we didn't. We started out with just a freaking reel. Again, doesn't bother me too much, but it does. It does. Why? In the whole hour and change do we need to sit through this? Because the action doesn't come until almost damn near a little bit after that hour passes, bro. With the action, it takes a while for us to get to the action. I'm not even gonna pretend like it doesn't. But again, once we get there, and it's good. It's really good. That's why I said in the beginning, it's sort of a satisfying conclusion, because it also doesn't really feel like the end. It just feels like another big breadcrumb for Tom Cruise to come back and, make another Mission Impossible movie. It just feels like this is the end of this one. Now we just gotta wait 2-3 years for the next one, whatever that is. It doesn't feel like a conclusion. It doesn't feel like Tom Cruise is finished. It just feels like he's getting started, My other issue is with Gabriel, because Gabriel really is so pointless in this movie that we could have just had the entity and that's it. We could have just had a Skynet version of the entity. We didn't need Gabriel. Gabriel was useless, and he died in the most silliest way, even though I loved it. He died how he was supposed to. He was still on the same shit from Dead Reckoning. Go here, do this, bring me that, it is written. That's it? That's all you gotta offer? And then he disappears for the whole movie. Comes back later, gets killed by his own plane. I love that. But just anybody else might say, well, silly to bring him back just to kill him off in a silly way. How could he go out in a grand way when he didn't do shit in the beginning from the jump? It's almost like they put all of his eggs in one basket. That one basket being Dead Reckoning Part 1. After that, it's like, let's bring him around for what? Why? He didn't do anything. He was so pointless in this movie, so he just became kind of corny, because he just kind of rehashed that same bravado from the past movie, and it was cool in that one, but in this one it was kind of just a joke. Yeah. Now, I gave it a pretty high rating. I did, because as a moviegoer, outside of all of that, I enjoyed this movie. I did. I truly did. And there are things I would change, like the things I mentioned, but I still enjoyed it. It was still a pretty good experience overall. I think one of the main things that I would do differently is put a lot more emphasis on the crisis in front of us. So the global crisis, right? The protests, everything like that. How the entity had its servants, essentially. And then one of them even attacked Ethan on the submarine. So the entity really got in these people's heads, right? And they were willing to do anything to see this AI thrive, right? I love that. But I wanted more emphasis on, like, the world itself. I want to see more of the panic. I want the camera to show us more of the chaos. I even wanted the president to interact with presidents all around the world. What were those conversations like? What would they look like? they're definitely intense, and one power is definitely talking about the other in terms of like domination and what they have to do to show or make a statement to the entity, which was left up to the US, and the US was ready to push that button until something positive happened. But that's the one thing I would definitely change, and I would change the beginning. Oh my God, I would change the beginning so easily. All that in the beginning, man, you put that in the credits. Let's open up with an explosive action scene, please. Let's do something. You could have even opened with Gabriel. What the hell was Gabriel doing from this point to now? What has the entity told him that made him an outlier? Why are they no longer in cahoots? They probably mentioned that, but I would like to see it. I would like to see it. We got a whole reel instead of a different opening that could have changed this movie. But ultimately, it's still a great time, and I still recommend that everyone goes to see it despite these flaws. It's still a great film, and it's still a great time. That being said, I have to give The Final Reckoning an 8.9 out of 10. It was still pretty good. It was still pretty good. Now, an 8.9 seems kind of low, especially for, you know, Mission Impossible standards, because they score really high. But because of those reasons, because of those things, it just seems less like a finale and more just like, okay, another Mission Impossible movie, and we just gotta wait to see what happens next. Because it ends with Ethan having the entity, all that power in the palm of his hand. Okay, what are you gonna do with all that? You literally have all this power in the palm of your hand. Are you gonna destroy it, or are you gonna use it? It looks like he's gonna use it, possibly. And that makes me wonder if Tom Cruise is truly done. I don't think he's done. And all he did was set up the next movie, which is gonna probably come out 5 years from now, because they gotta let it rest. We'll see what that looks like if he actually makes it. But yeah, satisfying conclusion that doesn't feel like a conclusion. Interesting. But it's still pretty good. It's still a great time. Yeah, Final Reckoning, highly recommend. Oh, yes, I had to do it. It even lights up, look. How could I not? This shit was expensive though. It was like 50 bucks. And I think it's because of the lights, the fact that it's a briefcase that expands, it has a cup, and it has a hidden message on the back that I don't want to rub because you have to, it's like thermal. You gotta like rub it to reveal it. I don't feel like doing that. Did it 3 times already. But yeah, this is pretty cool. 52 bucks, diabolical, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Mission Impossible, woo, The Final Reckoning, woo. So if you like this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell button so you stay notified for when I post my next video, which is coming very soon. What do you guys think of The Final Reckoning? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you even see it? Are you gonna watch it? Please let me know in the comments down below if you care. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.